Mr. President, normally here at Munich, we're talking about very serious security and defense issues, literally military arsenals, ammunition ramp-ups, things like that. Now we seem to be talking about the transatlantic relationship and the, actually the strength of it. So with what you've heard here today and at NATO over the last couple of days, I mean, what's your assessment? Lithuania and the United States normally have very strong ties, don't they?
Exactly, and this is really the situation where we are closely watching these discussions about the transatlantic bond. But you mentioned our abilities and our military capacities or capacities of our military defense. And we are talking about transatlantic bond. I think those issues are interlinked, and our ability to deliver more, to produce more, to take more responsibility, to go to share the burden fairly. It's very important, and right now we have very concrete figures: 1 billion military defense of United States and 1 trillion and 5 billion euros of European Union. So this is the reason why Americans are asking us to do more. And I think and I believe this is not about the transatlantic bond. The transatlantic bond will remain strong. At least this is the task of the countries like Lithuania, because we always relied on strong transatlantic bond. And we are ready to take those responsibilities to increase our defense spending, and we go radical way. We plan to increase our defense spending up to 5-6% of GDP in 2030.
That's right. You are one of those countries who hasn't shied away from this responsibility. You've also got a border with Russia. I mean, the frontline states are generally the high spenders, but therefore, as you said, these issues are interlinked. So does this continuous stream of insults or that you seem to be getting today in this speech, not you personally, he didn't mention Lithuania as one of the countries, but does this help? That isn't necessarily going to make you spend more or make the laggards who are at 1.2%, that's not going to make them spend more. So is this really the way to do it?
I don't know. I remember 2019 as the discussions between the partners were also not very polite, and sometimes there were accusations which were not very pleasant to some people sitting at the table. But at the end of the day, we achieved the result and NATO became stronger. Is this the same situation now? It's too premature to draw the conclusions and to say that probably we will go this way. I would prefer the very honest and frank conversation between the allies, between the partners, not accusing each other. But
friendly and frank.
Yes, but if it leads to higher defense spending in Germany, France, Spain, other countries which are quite far away from Russia and Russian aggression, then I would say, okay, we can go this way. But of course, we all understand what are the long-term threats. And long-term threats are really very dangerous. And Russia poses long-term threat for next 20, 30 years. We have to realize that. We frontline countries understand it very well.
But that's exactly the point. J.D. Vance didn't talk about that in his speech. That would normally be a big topic when you're facing a war right across your border.
Yes, exactly. And what is going on now in Ukraine, this also could be solved in two ways. Quick solution, quick deal, or the deal which is appropriate and acceptable for Ukraine and for whole Europe. First way is wrong way to go, because I think Russia is not ready to make the fair deal. Russia wants to have the break, to regroup, restructure, produce more ammunition, military equipment, and then organize the next offensive. I don't know where it will be. Maybe in Ukraine, maybe there will be other targets, not including Baltic countries too. Another way, a second way, is just to try to find fair peace and speak with Russia from the position of strength. Probably Ukraine is not ready to speak from the position of strength, but United States are ready. They can impose the sanctions, they can reduce the oil prices across the world, and it would hit Russian economy severely. This is not the case right now. We imposed so many sanctions. We imposed so many sanctions in European Union, but did they help us to stop Russia's war machine? Unfortunately not.
Last question. Wouldn't you feel better, though, if Europeans were part of these negotiations? Like you say, you bring a different perspective. You bring also the ability to impose sanctions, to add security guarantees, which is what would be expected from Europe. If you're excluded from those talks, how can you trust them?
Of course, Europe should be here, because this is about not only the security of Ukraine, but this is about the security of whole Europe. As I mentioned, Ukraine is only the first target. This time the play is much more difficult and complicated, and of course Putin will not stop in Ukraine. If he succeeds there will be the second target probably in Europe. This is the reason why Europe has to be at the table, has to decide, but of course in order to achieve that, Europe should have very strong position what to do, what should be the conditions of this peace. And so far we are not united. Unfortunately, I have to admit that there are some countries which are going different way, and we cannot reach the consensus at the table. This is a problem, but we have try to solve this.
Okay, that's all our time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. All the best.